I was paying half this man's rent, cooking in his kitchen, sitting across from his friends at dinner, laughing at their jokes, answering questions about our future. I had met his sister. I had a drawer in his apartment. I was embedded in this man's life in every way that matters. And somewhere across Lagos, same city, same timeline, 2 full years, another woman thought she was his girlfriend. We were both right. My name is Sade, and this is the story of how I found out I was the side chick in my own relationship. His name was Dayo. Dayo was 35 when we met. Project manager, well-dressed, the kind of man who remembered the names of waiters and tipped generously and made you feel in his presence like everything was considered. We met at a work event, not the same company, a vendor mixer. He asked for my number, I gave it. The first 6 months were textbook, attentive, consistent, future-focused. He talked about where he wanted to be in 5 years in a way that included the word we enough times that I started using it too. He met 2 of my closest friends. I met his colleague Tunde, his university friend Bayo, his younger sister Kikelomo, who I thought liked me. Kikelomo liked me. Past tense, I'll get there. Around the 8-month mark, things shifted slightly. Not dramatically, nothing you could point to and say, there, that is where it changed. He became harder to reach on weekends. He was with family more. He had a work trip I found out about only when he was already there. Small things, the kind of things a reasonable woman in a reasonable relationship files under, he's busy and I trust him. I filed them. I kept filing. I found out the way a lot of women find out. Indirectly, accidentally, through someone who didn't mean to show me but did. My friend Ronke was at a naming ceremony in Ibadan. She sent me a voice note afterward. Sadi, I need to ask you something and I need you not to panic. The sentence that is never followed by good news. At this naming ceremony, Ronke had met a woman called Folake. They got talking. Folake mentioned her boyfriend of 2 years, a project manager, well-dressed, thoughtful. Ronke said something felt familiar. She asked his name. Folake showed her a photo. It was Dayo. Not a man who looked like Dayo, not an ex. Dayo, current tense, 2 years, the same timeline as mine, apparently meeting Folake's family in December for the first time. The same December he had told me he was spending with his parents in Abuja. Ronke sent me Folake's Instagram handle. I did not sleep that night. I went through every post. Folake was 32, a banker, elegant in a way that made my chest tight. And there, in her highlights, was a photo I recognized. A restaurant I had been to with Dayo, a table near the window, the same tablecloth. Dayo had taken me for my birthday. Apparently, he had also taken her. Same restaurant, different woman, same man. I want to be honest about my mistakes here because this story is not just about what Dayo did. My first instinct was not to confront him, it was to verify. I spent 3 days collecting evidence like I was building a legal case, cross-referencing his whereabouts with Folake's posts, matching timestamps, confirming overlaps. By the time I was done, I had a folder on my phone with 47 screenshots. What I should have done was call him immediately. What I did instead was spend those 3 days telling myself I needed to be sure. The truth is, I was already sure. I was just terrified. Because if it was true, and I knew it was true, then the last 2 years of my life had been built on something I didn't have a word for yet, and I wasn't ready to name it. On day 4, I called Dayo and asked him to come over. He said he was tired from work. I said it wasn't optional. Something in my voice must have told him because he went quiet for a moment before he said, I'll be there at 7. He arrived looking like a man preparing for something, not guilty, prepared. There is a difference. Guilt is reactive,
What Dayo had was a strategy. I put my phone on the table with Folake's Instagram open. I did not say anything. He looked at it for a long moment. "It's not what you think," he said. "Tell me what it is then," I said. What followed was 20 minutes of the most impressive architectural dishonesty I have ever witnessed in person. Folake was someone his family had introduced him to. His parents were pressuring him to settle down. He hadn't known how to tell me. He didn't have feelings for her. It was a situation that had gotten complicated. He was going to end it. He loved me. He had always loved me. I let him finish. Then I asked one question. Has she met your parents? Have I met your parents, Dayo? In 2 years, I had not. He had always had a reason. His father's health, his mother's travel schedule, timing, always timing. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. After Dayo left that night, I did something I still think about. I called Kikelomo. Kikelomo, his younger sister, who had met me, who had eaten jollof rice at my table and told me I was good for his brother, who had sent me a voice note on my last birthday that said, "You're exactly who my family needs." She picked on the second ring. "Kike," I said, "did you know about Folake?" The pause was short, just short enough to be an answer. "Sade, did you know?" "It's complicated. My parents, they introduced him to Folake and Dayo didn't know how to." "Kikelomo, did you know he was still seeing me while he was seeing her?" Another pause, longer this time. "I thought he was going to sort it out," she said quietly. "I told him to sort it out." I hung up. I sat on my kitchen floor for a long time, not crying. I was past the point of crying. Just sitting with the understanding that multiple people in this man's life knew and had said nothing, had smiled at me, had eaten at my table. That was the part that took longest to recover from. Not Dayo, Kikelomo. 3 weeks after I ended things with Dayo, a DM came from Folake. She had found out about me the same week I found out about her, through a different mutual friend, a different naming ceremony, the irony of which is not lost on me. Her message was short. "I think we need to talk. Not about him, about what we were both told." We met for coffee in Ikeja. She was exactly as put together as her Instagram suggested, and she looked as tired as I felt. We sat down and within 5 minutes confirmed that Dayo had told each of us a slightly different version of the same story. In my version, his family was pressuring him, but his heart was with me. In her version, he had an ex he was trying to let down gently, but she was the real relationship. We were both the real relationship. That was his system. "He told me you were unstable," Folake said without looking away from me, "that you had attachment issues and he didn't know how to leave without you hurting yourself." I put my coffee down. I said he told me you were only with him for his money and his family connections, that you'd leave him the moment something better came along. We stared at each other. He made sure we'd never compare notes, Folake said. I said he almost succeeded. People ask me what the hardest part was. Most assume the answer is the betrayal itself, finding out, the confrontation, the ending. But the hardest part came weeks later when the shock had cleared and I had to sit with a quieter question. What did I ignore? Because I had ignored things, not catastrophic things, not things that scream, small things. The filing cabinet of small things I mentioned earlier. The weekends he was with family, the parents I never met, the way he sometimes answered my calls from another room and came back sounding slightly different, slightly reset. I had noticed. I had chosen not to ask. I wonder now whether some part of me knew that asking would collapse something I wasn't ready to lose. I don't say this to blame myself. Dayo made choices. His family knew and stayed silent. Kikelomo ate my food and said nothing. Those are their accountabilities, not mine. But I also made a choice to keep filing, to keep trusting, past the point where trust was doing me any good. I'm 31. I work in procurement. I pay my own rent now. All of it. Last week, my colleague asked me if I wanted to come to a work mixer, and I said yes. Because I am not the kind of woman who stops showing up because someone once wasn't worth showing up for. I went. I wore the red dress. I ordered the good wine. That is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a different one.
If you've ever trusted someone who didn't deserve it, drop a comment below. Tell us, what would you have done differently? And if you're new here, subscribe. We tell stories the way they're meant to be told.